You are watching Access LaPorte County, Channel 97. Coming up next is the November 26th meeting of the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau Board of Managers. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Okay, we're going to call to order the November 26, 2024 meeting of the Board of Managers for the LaPorte County Convention and Visitors Bureau. Thank you all for coming. We know this is a busy week for most of you. I'm sure all of you have turkeys and dressing on the agenda for Thanksgiving. So we're going to go ahead and start our meeting with our roll call.
Becky Greenlaw.
Here.
Pat Harris.
Here.
Corinne Myers. Stacy Benning.
Present.
Diane Gonzalez.
Present.
Martha King. Here. Adam Konechny. Mike Sykes.
Here.
Don Babcock. We have a quorum.
Thank you for that. Do we have any public comments at this time? Hearing none, we'll move right into the approval of our October 2024 minutes. You've all had a chance to review them. I'll ask for a motion for approval. So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Stacy Benning and a second by Mike Seitz. Any discussions, corrections? Hearing none, those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. I had the opportunity this month to attend a digital equity roundtable discussion. Mayor Angie had put this meeting together with some community folks, community leaders, and it was presented by Comcast. And their aim is to provide digital access through computer technology, Wi-Fi access to students in this area, but the community as a whole. And there was a very lively discussion about that, and some things are going to be moving forward very shortly. And I was there representing actually two different organizations, this one and another one. So I just wanted to make sure you all know that that is happening as we look at visitors coming in and potentially living here. This is going to be a viable piece for that to happen. So we're very excited to be part of that discussion. And I would invite any of you that are interested to please talk to me, let me know, and we'll get you involved because it's going to be a big push for this. We're going to get behind this effort by the mayor to get this in place here in Michigan City and make sure it's successful for our community. So with that, I don't have anything else to report. I will ask for our treasurer's report from Becky Greenlaw.
Okay, thanks, Pat. For October 2024, we had total accounts payable of $180,065.14. Total payroll of $41,006.59 for a grand total of $221,071.73. You've been provided, and I'm going to pass around the October 2024 Statement of Financial Position, Profit and Loss to the Budget Performance, as well as the October 2024 Bank Account Reconciliations and the corresponding claim sheets.
Okay, thank you for that. You heard the report by our treasurer. I'll ask for a motion for approval.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Mike Sykes and a second by Martha King. Any further discussion, questions? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That brings us right up to our wonderful CEO report.
Boy,
Jack, can you fill those?
I do. Got quite a bit to talk about. Given that this will be the last meeting of the year, the board had previously canceled the December meeting because it fell on Christmas Eve, I believe. And so that puts us in a kind of unique spot that not only do we have a lot to pull together, obviously with the budget and with the planning stuff all coming together and several very important contracts that are all contingent upon the budget being approved today. I thought it'd be appropriate to maybe just kind of recap what's happened since, I'll say, May of last year. It's just been a whirlwind of activity, and it started with NITDC with the proposal came for us to take over the management contract. You guys all know that story, how that went down, and you know, it wasn't something that had been on the table, but as it came up, it turned out for LaPorte County, it's probably going to be a game changer at a high level. And we're looking forward to rolling that in. So, now, as you remember, that started in May, and we rolled right into the planning process, which was a long time overdue. Pat had been wanting to see something moving forward. We finally decided to put the commitment, both financially and staff-wise, to pull that together. And what a process, okay? And again, there's gonna be kind of the icing on the cake today with a presentation that updates everybody with the action items. And then that process allowed us to, the two processes I'm talking about, NITDC, the planning process, allowed us to realign the staff where we're going. And we've got a great lineup of staff that'll start the first of the year, bringing in the NITDC staff, excuse me, and our current staff. And that's been an exciting process. It gave me a chance to look at job descriptions, look at unmet needs that we weren't addressing, try to make sure that we were really, and then the most important thing in my mind was tapping skill sets of the staff and getting them where they can be most effective. And we spent a lot of time on that. I certainly did. And then, of course, the upgrades that we made in offshore racing. I mean, that was just the fact that we're going to be on a circuit with Toronto, possibly Chicago, and other destinations in Florida and other places across the country is amazing. And to be able to cross market and do the kind of things we're going to do is going to be great. And I can tell you unequivocally, you can talk to the other folks that were able to go to Key West this year, but Michigan City has put ourselves in a leadership role in the offshore racing industry, for sure. There's no doubt about it. We hosted a brunch while we were in Key West, brought in all the key industry players, and I think we left there as, if not the most identifiable group out there, one of the top 2 or 3. Literally, we pulled a lot of good stuff together down there, and we're pretty proud of that. Of course, the budget is going to happen today. That there's so many things that are hinging on that. That process started back at the first of the year. These things start a long time ago. These things don't just fall out of the sky in the last day or two. And we've got that. So I mentioned earlier, there's several action items that you all have had input on that have been defined through our planning process. And one of those is the ESPN 1000 contract that we're going to talk about later today. The Air DNA, which is a third-party tracking that you guys identified that was something that we needed to move forward in. Pretty obvious one as we analyzed our innkeeper's tax collection for the last few years. I think one of the bigger things that I saw that you all moved on was the data collection, and how you ask us to really reach out and collect good data and make some good, smart decisions moving forward on that. And so I think we're going to be in a really great place with that. Put quite a bit of money into the budget, and I think it's going to be worthwhile. And then our other goal on the action items is certainly, and Scott talked about this under the budget, but is to expand our room nights during the offshore racing. That's a big deal, is to try to pick up on that. So that's kind of an accumulation of what's coming together today. The stuff that we've talked about, we've worked on. I will say that I think I've alluded in the last board meeting or two that we're doing a kind of revamping of our whole sales piece. And by that, I'm talking about selling sponsorships for the most part. We are contracting that out. We've got an MOU out that we're working under now. That's going to start. Chelsea has redone all the packages and made them more timely, more presentable. They were pretty old, 16 years old, and so we've redone them. We've already started with a whole new model with NIPSCO. NIPSCO was our sponsor from day one with us and had a great sponsorship all these years, a lot of money. As you know, the VIP tent. We noticed in the last few years that model wasn't really doing us any good at all because of the cost of the VIP stuff. And it wasn't even getting NIPSCO what they wanted. So Chelsea's given them a kind of an option where they can come through and decide, well, I like this, and kind of go through an a la carte thing and pick what they want. And then that's going to be it. I think that's pretty much done now. We're getting close, right, where we'll be able to move forward with them. So that's really, really exciting. So, having said that, we probably need to get into a couple reports here, which would be, Gail, is there anything under, I know you want to speak on the budget side, is there anything you want to say under operations and finances?
No, other than we're in a very good place. I mean, Becky just shared with us that we're in the black and following our plan while knowing that the budget, which we'll get into in more detail today, is a plan, and we have rolled very well with those changes in the plan throughout our year. So feeling like we're in a really solid place to start into our new opportunities and 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, since the last meeting, I don't recollect anything on the operation and finances side that stands out that we could add other than just when we get into the budget itself. Right? Yeah, good, thank you, Gail. Next report, we're gonna have a report from Amy on heads of beds and Dale on community relations. So Amy, you wanna?
Sure. So our hotel team is preparing for the following upcoming events and initiatives. Palooza happening on December 15th. Scott coordinated with our local hotels offering, they're gonna offer special rates using the code Prancer 2024, and those are listed on our website for anybody that's interested. We have a LaPorte Invitational, January 9th through 11th, and Chelsea and Chris are going to assist with any housing needs for the participating teams, as needed. They'll work with Blue Chip and Malamir on that process. The NCAA football playoff, hopefully, fingers crossed, that Notre Dame hosts a game, and I think there's a high probability of that happening. So Scott's been working with our local hotels on rates there as well. I'll bet I'm a fan of that.
You're gonna get to come to South Tar and make a little.
Yeah, you can come.
So anyway, Scott's been working with the local hotels on that probability so that they're ready if that happens with, again, possibly discounted rates and so on. And then youth volleyball tournaments, those are beginning January 11th and 12th, and that happens several weekends from there on out through May, and our hotels are already seeing bookings from those as well. And as far as the innkeeper's tax goes, through October.
Excuse me, Amy.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
What's the format for that volleyball tournament? Is it every weekend?
It's not every weekend, it's several weekends. And
Is there's going to be a schedule published?
Oh, yeah, it's on their website. I can get it. I don't have it with me, but it's on their website.
Yeah, let's make that available to everyone because I know I would like
Well,
to.
and one of the things that we're working on too, I didn't mention because we've got some work to do, but I would always get together a sports calendar for the year. So I started working on the sports calendar. So we just got to get some NSA DPA updates, and then we'll share that with the board in January.
Okay.
And that'll include those volleyball dates as well.
Did you have something, Scott, you wanted to
No, I
add?
was just letting Amy know I'll get that for you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it's a pretty much a 10-month schedule.
Oh,
It's a long schedule.
Wow.
But our financial involvement, as you know, is, and it's part of the budget again today that you're going to be looking at, is we do a $10,000 support for the company that runs that. Once we determine that they stay in the rooms. And then once that caps off, the tournament keeps going, but we don't pay them anymore, right? That makes sense?
Yeah.
But yeah, so we worked with the city gave them tax increment breakdowns, and we offered this when they first came in. We've been doing that every year.
yeah, because I hope we're really going to, promote that a lot. And I don't know if you're,
Hotels love it.
I mean, as far as the actual event. schedule, get that out to people, so, because I'd like to know, I might want to go to some of those. I mean, that's a,
Oh,
We'll share
I
that,
see.
yeah, we share that every year, we'll definitely get that.
okay, and I'm sorry, I just probably,
No, that's
I've been
okay.
on top of things before, but
It's-
yeah.
It's an ongoing schedule too, so
Yeah,
ours, like,
okay,
I
all right.
said, MSA, BPA, Great Lakes Grand Prix, Tour de LaPorte, all the different.
Well, mainly because we were part of it,
Yeah.
the sponsorship to a certain point, I guess is how you described it. Yeah, that's why I'd like to
Yeah,
see
we'll
us kind
get
of
that for you.
rally it up.
Been in their place.
Yeah.
Yeah, me either.
Gotta get me in there.
Okay, so,
Okay.
Well, just real quick, I wanted to report on the income first tax. Through October, it stands at $2,250,000, which is approximately $179,000 over where we were last year. So we're, looking forward to ending the year strong.
and to that point, think of it, Amy had to wait till we got a notice last night on the last innkeeper tax collection. In order for us to project income, that question has come up in that email from Babcock yesterday. We couldn't even project on it till last night even. Those things don't, they don't happen by themselves. We have to wait for some of that to fall into place. And so we based our projected income on what Amy just told you. We don't know what the income for the last 2 months will be.
Yeah.
But we just had to project off of that. But good job tracking that, Amy. That's important.
Is there any major event or activity going on in the November and December numbers when they come in that will be significant?
Angie's got some
Yeah.
events happening.
Again,
so-
projecting, of course, who's coming to the casino either, but yeah, certainly for fall, spring and fall has been our high point period regarding group business. From a casino standpoint, they are running a lot of operations, they've been changing a lot of things with incentives. Obviously, the new Wind Creek Casino just opened up online, that's another competition. For Winds continues to be that one rock, so they're playing around with those marketing numbers to try to get those transient guests in. So yes, so fall is definitely still our peak time with the Notre Dame football schedule. Right now, I met with all teams for next year. Normally, they don't sign contracts till after, this season anyway. But for group business, I'm projecting to do about 3% over this year. So numbers look, again, based on the report and the budget they're doing, they're in alignment to because we're going through the budget process at Blue Chip, and it's just laying out numbers and hopefully that something sticks, right? So how they seem to move around, this is how we go. But going with what we've done this past year, going with our strategic plan, everything looks in alignment.
Great. All right.
Yeah, we got nervous the last couple months on, we saw a little leveling off, and as you can see, we haven't leveled off in 10 years. And we had a couple months, and we've just been racking our brain trying to figure out if this was a pattern, but we've jumped out of that now for this month, and we're back almost where we think we should be, and we see the last couple months closing out really well, Pat. But sometimes this stuff, you just gotta do a lot of backtracking. Sometimes there's money owed. Sometimes folks don't pay, they wait a couple months, that whole scenario.
Yeah.
And it's, so sometimes it catches itself up. We try not to get our hair on fire too bad about it before.
Right, like if you would have noticed, August of last year is much higher, but one of our larger properties paid July and August in August last year. Some things like that, like Jack, it's kind of all over the board, but we definitely try to track that and do that process, so. We don't get anything.
Yeah.
No hair on fire, good, I like hearing that.
Yeah, me too. So Dale,
So this is just what I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. November 1st, Pat, Chief Marty, and I went to Chicago on a field trip because we are working on getting information to start a Black History Museum. As you know, at the end of last year, I was able to collect a lot of Alan Williams, who passed away, a lot of his African-American museum information. So that's going to take us a couple of years, but we are working on it. We want to bring a museum to Michigan City. So we're working really hard on that.
That committee is having a real tough time because I'm in there saying, no, we're gonna do it in 1 year. And they're like, Pat, no. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this in 1 year.
It's gonna take us a while, but we're working on it. I was called by Jim Erickson from the Exchange Club, and for those of you who don't know what that is, they do fundraisers and they donate money to the community. Places like Dunebrook, Paladin, Sandcastle, Meals on Wheels, and Rains for Life. I was asked to come and speak and talk about what we do at the Visitor Center, and it's good to get out there in the community to let people know exactly what we're doing out here. But when I got there, they told me that I was their 2025 honoree for what's called a Book of Good Deeds. It's for service in our community, so that was really, I'm gonna have, they're gonna do a dedication next year, so I was really thankful for that. So, I was also called by a group called Homeward Bound, and it's to create affordable housing for people that don't have housing, like homeless people. They will find them a job, and then they're going to be able, they're tiny houses, sub 1,000 houses. And the project is gonna be on Carwood Road. This will be their first one, but they want me to be on their board, which I'm going to be, just another board. Because I'm obsessed with tiny houses, so I was really happy that they chose me to help with that. Yesterday, I was on WIMS for the Center for Creative Solutions interviewing John Olesker. And if you don't know who he is, he's like a world famous CEO of 24/7 Productions, motion pictures, television. He's a novelist, and he lives right here in LaPorte County, so he was a great person to interview. And I was also called by Councilman Joseph Nelson to help them with a coat drive. It's called Keep Kids Warm. They're going to be giving out coats on December 7th, and the coats are going to be absolutely free, so I've been out fundraising, and I've been able to raise $5,000 for that. And this Saturday, I'm going to be using one of my superpowers, which is going out shopping. Buy those coats and give those coats to any child that doesn't have a coat here and out there. So, that's it.
Great update,
Thank
congratulations.
you, Dale. Congratulations.
Very,
I'm very proud of you.
Yeah. Terry, I think you're up next, maybe?
Following that. Yeah, so we've got one big event left in Michigan City. It's our Festival of Lights celebration, which is Saturday, December 7th. It was originally scheduled for November 30th, but after meeting with some of the downtown businesses, I was not aware that Saturday is called Small Business Saturday, and they were a little bit concerned, so we moved the date to accommodate our downtown businesses. So it's Saturday, December 7th. We've partnered with Uptown Social. The whole of the event itself will start at 3 o'clock. At Uptown Social, we have a Kindle market, and I believe there's somewhere between 20 to 30 vendors that will be there selling art, craft, and merchandise. Our parade will start at 5 p.m. We flip-flopped the parade this year since we no longer have an official Christmas tree at the library. For those of you who don't know, that tree was cut down. It was in bad shape. So the parade will start on 4th Street and run south to 9th Street, so it ends up at the Uptown Social, right by Uptown Social. Uptown Social will be open from 3 p.m. until 9 p.m. with the Kindle Market. We have our chili cook-off that will happen at Uptown Social. It'll start at 6:30. In addition to that, Santa Claus will be at Uptown Social from 6:30 to 8:30. Kids can come and see Santa Claus. We're asking that families bring one unwrapped toy, or Toys for Tots. We're not turning away anybody if they don't have a toy. The kids can still see Santa Claus. We're going to try and help out the folks from Toys for Tots. In addition, during the parade, the Real Housewives of LaPorte County will be doing a food drive. So they'll be collecting canned box food for Northern Indiana Food Bank. And to help promote that event on Friday, December 6th, I'll be in South Bend on WSB TV, their hometown living segment. I believe it starts at 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock our time. And they're going to do a feature on our Festival of Lights down at the park. So that should be a good promotion for the area. The other thing that's been kind of keeping me busy over this last few weeks, when we were in Key West, we found out that RWO, who's our new partner for our event, will also be putting on a race in Toronto. Our friends from Graydell Racing, which is one of the Super Cat teams, spent quite a bit of time talking with them. And to help them get that event up and running, we provided them with all of our documentation, our emergency action plan, our communications plan, a lot of the other documents and things that we had to use for our race. Because as everybody knows, when you're trying to start one of these events, if you're starting from scratch, it's a nightmare. So we provided them with all of those documents, so all they have to do is go in and change things to fit their event. In addition to that, in my previous life, in my racing career, I was the director of operations for the Honda Indy Toronto. So I developed relations up there. One of the good relationships I developed was with a guy named Jeff Atkinson. He was our sales director. He is now the president of the Honda Indy Toronto. So I made the connection with the Honda Indy Toronto and the Toronto Offshore Racing Team, get them connected because the IndyCar race is 1 week before the offshore race. So we made that connection, hopefully to help them be able to promote their event, capitalize on working together on city resources and so on. So as Jack said, I think things like that are what are really making Michigan City a powerhouse in the offshore community, and anything we can do to help our partners. If races in other communities go well, it's great for offshore racing, which is then again great for Michigan City.
Yep, good update, thank you. LaPorte, Brett?
Sure. Upcoming City of LaPorte events, we have this weekend, Saturday, November 30th, we have the Santa Parade that will run the route we've had the last few years. It'll start at 4 p.m. on State Street, travel west to Michigan, and then southbound Michigan to Lincoln Way, and then back east to Plaza 618, where Santa will take his place at the Santa Chalet, and then we'll do the tree lighting immediately afterwards, or during, I should say, the transition of Santa to the Chalet. On Saturday, December 14th, we have our annual cookie walk, which a lot of our downtown businesses participate. Those tins are almost sold out. We put them on sale yesterday morning at 8 a.m. We have about 60 left out of 300. So those will probably be sold out by the end of the day today, if not tomorrow. They're $15 each, and it's a great way for people to visit our downtown businesses throughout Lincoln Way and the downtown area in LaPorte, and for them to interact with customers as well. This has been an ongoing tradition for, I believe, 15, 20 years. So it's one of our favorite events in the Christmas time, and then at the Civic Auditorium. Let's see, this weekend we have a Family Values, which is a title from a corn tour back in the late 90s. But that concert has 5 bands. They'll be starting at 5:30 on Saturday, November 30th at the Civic. That will run till about 11:30 that night. 5 bands, 1 price, great evening of entertainment. And then we get into our holiday season at the Civic, December 7th. Eclipse Performing Arts from the Valpo Chesterton area puts on 2 performances of the Nutcracker, their Sugar Plum presentation. Starting times are 2 p.m. and 6:30 p.m. This is one of the top dance organizations in the state of Indiana, and they've placed nationally at several events. It's a great event for a very inexpensive price. Please come out and see it if you're a fan of the Nutcracker or any kind of holiday situation. Of course, December 14th is the holiday at the Pops. LaPorte's way of kicking off the holiday season. You know, once the Pops has arrived, Christmas is right around the corner. Tickets are selling quickly for that and will possibly sell out, and it's one of the biggest fundraisers for the LaPorte County Symphony that they have each year. And then December 20th, we have the Christmas Wizards coming back to the Civic Auditorium. It's a great family-friendly show, rock music, light show, bit of a dedication to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra with some rock and roll mixed in. They're great with families. Last year they had all the kids up on stage at the very end of the show to sing along I highly recommend it. It's a great uplifting day or night. December 21st, Works in Motion has their holiday recital, and then December 27th, to end the new year, to end 2024, we have two great concerts that weekend. December 27th, we have a group called Pop Rocks, and their opener is Boy Band Review. That's going to be for those people that want to know, from the 80s, 90s, and 2000s generation. You're going to know every song. You're going to be up dancing all night long. Great entertainment. And then on December 28th, we have one of the top Bob Seger tributes in the country coming in called Hollywood Nights. They're committed in Minneapolis the next day at a casino up in Minneapolis, so it's going to be an early show. Doors are going to open at 5 o'clock, and then the show starts at 6. You'll be out by 8 and home ready for a good evening, so we highly recommend getting your tickets now. The Bob Seger show is selling quickly. And just a few other quick notes, we've signed some of the top tributes in the country coming in January through March, including Artemis Pyle, which has the original drummer named Artemis Pyle from Lynyrd Skynyrd. It's Lynyrd Skynyrd tribute in March. Hotel California has over 100,000 social media followers and is the original Eagles tribute in the country. They're coming in January 24th, and the floor is already 65% sold out for that. January 18th, we have the Zach Brown tribute band coming in off the East Coast. January 4th, we have Echoes of Pompeii, which is one of the top Pink Floyd tributes in the region. And one thing I'll say about that show is even if you're not a Pink Floyd fan, the light show itself is worth the price of admission there. They do lasers and the whole 9 yards, and it's a very entertaining show. And of course, we'd be remiss not to say January 9th to the 11th, we'll have the top basketball talent in the country, amateur-wise, at the Civic Auditorium. I believe we got the number of 12 players that have been at the LaPorte Invitational are now playing in the NBA. So you are going to see some of the top talent, not just in high school, but in high school and college at this event. And in 2 years, several people that are playing this year are going to be in the NBA and be drafted in the first round. Tickets start at $20 for general balcony and $30 for premier, and you get 3 to 4 games depending on which day you pick. And we can't express just what a great deal and price that is for what you're going to see those 3 days.
Is that all on the internet already?
Yeah.
It's out there, the schedule and everything?
Actually, Pat's question was, if you recall, it gets a little confusing, but when ESPN proposed their contract that we're going to talk about today, we couldn't wait today to happen. We wanted to engage ESPN to start the ticket sales earlier for this, and then Pat's question was, has that started? And yes, we were able to scrape the dollars out of this year's money to engage with ESPN to fill in this last couple months so we could start that promotion and get that working. And it's been, my understanding, we're probably about 35% up in
Yeah, I'm
ticket
trying to
sales
remember, it was 35 to 40%.
already, just from their hit. Now we're down to a point where deciding what days that we've got to fill the gaps on.
And that was compared to the sales through November 30th of last year.
So that's even longer,
We're going to
yeah.
have 5 or 6 days.
Yeah, perfect. So we
my
see,
guess is we'll end up 50%
Yeah.
probably
Good, good.
over the same time period. Which is
How's
great.
that coordination going with the schools to get the schools to?
we've been waiting to see just what we're finding out now.
Okay, that's what
So,
the gaps.
because if we don't have to spend the money to give the free tickets, we don't have to.
Yeah.
Right, Chelsea's got the letters ready, we're getting ready, but then we're gonna pull the trigger in a day or two, as soon as we evaluate. It looks like, Brett, we're gonna have to fill in Thursday.
Thursday, we're probably.
Yeah, we're gonna, so that'll probably start Thursday.
Are we gonna, in schools, are we gonna include the universities in the area as part of the schools?
We had not, that doesn't, I mean, we used county as the first criteria for our schools. No reason for that, we don't have to.
Yeah, right.
And then we grade schools
Visitors.
as
We
well.
want visitors.
Grade and high school, so
Yeah.
I think I'll get with Chelsea and find out if we've got enough of a base there to fill what we're looking for.
Yeah, because I'm thinking of
What are
the
you thinking?
schools around here, like Notre Dame and Purdue, Cal, and Valparaiso U, and
We will do some targeted social media marketing
Yeah.
in South Bend area, especially with one of the top players for for Loudermere, having signed with Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We think that's a good market for us
Right,
to attract
right.
to. So we're good, I know, like from the city aspect, we're gonna do some targeted social media marketing in the South End area. And try to like push ticket sales over there for sure.
It just occurred to me when we're talking about students, those college students, include them in that group somehow. I'm thinking, you guys got the magic wands and make things happen, but I was just thinking that to myself. And
Yeah, good input. Yeah, well, we didn't have any trouble filling them with the grade schools and the middle schools last year. We were able to fill them up. But if we need to, certainly we'll look at it. Yeah. All right, Brett, thank you very much. Appreciate it done. Angie, I think.
Yeah, kind of similar to Michigan City and LaPorte updates, blue chip, we're getting ready for the holidays. Winding down on all of our renovation we've been doing, all of our projects going on. Property is beautifully decorated now. We've got our Trees of Hope up, so we've been very charitable with community organizations, nonprofits and so forth, so we've got a lot of that going on. So definitely, things that I've talked about with Jack and for 2025, we're looking at a good year for group business. Obviously, the sports market is huge, so about that, there's strategy plan. Maybe one of the things I agreed with Babcock's email last night was the fact that we do have a plan in place with our strategic plan of how we're going to target those markets and bring more events. I live in Porter County. All eyes are on what's going on here in LaPorte County, so it's a lot of fun. A lot of good stuff that's happening, so really don't have much. That's it.
Pat, that concludes my updates.
okay, thank you so much for that. Okay, under our old business, we have some planning action items that Jack and Dan want to talk to us about. So we'll turn it right back to you, Jack and Dan.
Yeah, as I alluded earlier, we've been announcing for several months, actually, that November was our target date to review and share the action items with everyone. We couldn't have done it sooner, of course, because we were still working on the planning process. We can't wait any longer because the year's going to end and we're moving forward. So this is the right month to do that, the right meeting to do that. And it's all coming together really well. I just couldn't have imagined ahead of time where we would have landed with action points. But as Dan and his committee have been working the last 3 or 4 weeks on this, and his committee consisted of Amy, Linda, Robbie, and Dan heading that up, they've been able to take the information that you all provided back to us through the planning process with the help of our industry experts and our planning experts, and extrapolate what we feel like are the items that we're going to be working on moving forward. Several of them are covered in the budget and a couple contracts today, one contract we're going to talk about. So again, it's all coming together really well. There is no action needed, Pat, on this. This is an informational report. And as Dan will explain, we'll be moving forward with these and other action items throughout the whole year. So Dan, you want to?
Yeah, so like you said, we have special presentations on several of the action items. So I'll focus in on the area that is not covered by that. And Robbie and Amy and Linda and I have worked on this. And what I want to say is that, it was great. Jack, you talked about everything that's happened since May through and through now, and all the work and the strategic planning, and how fortunate with us transitioning in that we got to sit through and participate and have a voice in. And I feel like I've got to know and have gotten to know this board so well. The staff I've known, but even got to know in a deeper way. And with the disruption in the boat race industry, it forced us to deal with a lot of that. And so it got those discussions that may not have, we'll talk to you about that when you get on board with that. It's been live and active. So I just feel, so welcomed, number one, and number two, just really in a good place to come in. We'll just hit the ground running on day one in a way that wouldn't have been possible without that. So thank everybody for that, for our team here. So an area that stood out to me in the street, and to us in the street planning process was, and it came up, and we just know it from we've been in this industry. I come from a marketing background. I started my career at Neiman Marcus and became head of their mail order marketing department, and then became head of marketing for Harry and David and Jackson Polkett out in Oregon as the next step, and then ended up at M&M Mars and got experience and worked in branding and marketing. So I've been around this, and the side of it I've been on is largely involved on the data and data collection. So I know how important that is. And so as we go through, and every item in our strategic plan can be touched and improved and enhanced if we have good data to go off of. And we know that we have some gaps there. And so we thought it was important to take an action item in 2025 to try to address that and improve our collection of data. So we think we've done that. And there's two platforms that we are going to purchase and start to activate. The first one is called Placer. And I'm going to let Robbie, he's kind of taking the lead with identifying that vendor and going through the vetting of that vendor. So Robbie, why don't you present what Placer can do for us?
Yeah, so the first company we're looking at right now is Placer, as Dan said. And our biggest takeaway from the board meeting that we had is, and help consolidate and solidify our mindset that we really need to get smart. Because especially before COVID, if we had a bunch of data before COVID, it's kind of irrelevant now. The markets have changed, everything's changed, and a lot of that, our data was a little dated, so we need to figure out a way to plug those gaps. And that's where we found Placer AI, and they are the premier geo-tracking organization out there. From Starbucks to Visit California, this is who they go to get their informational and user data. And it is a very powerful, sometimes so powerful, scary platform, but it is really cool what we're going to be able to do with this. It's going to use geolocation on cell phones, and they have a patented technology that they use, and that's why it makes them the best in the business. And then partnerships with all these different apps. So they have no one is getting an idea of visitor foot traffic. No one's doing a better job of traffic visitor foot traffic than Placer. So we'll be able to see where visitors go in our destination, how long they stay. We'll be able to see, where these people work, where they live, how long they're engaging in our destination, what businesses they go to. We'll be able to look at our demographics from income level to, pretty much everything that comes with that. And then we got customer visitation. We'll be able to see dwell time. We'll be able to geo-fence, for example, Washington Park Beach for the boat race, and we'll be able to look and see where people are coming from. We can dial so in depth. We can look at traffic patterns on boat race days, see where how people are entering our county, what are the gateways that are being heavily used, or where are the traffic issues that we're seeing. Like, we can dial down to that level with Placer, and so it is really, really compelling information we'll be able to pull out of this, and also with the tolls. We'll be able to put a pin drop on every single exit along the toll road to get exit. This is information we haven't had in like 10 years since the toll road switched management. So we can put a pin drop in our travel plazas and understanding who are visiting our travel plazas. And the sneak peek that we see is compelling. We're seeing people from Florida, California, all over the Midwest stopping in these travel plazas, showing we get a really appreciation for the scale of traffic out there and the traffic counts.
Excuse me, Robbie, when you're looking at those plazas, are those compared to other plazas outside of our region but next to our region?
Great question. So once we get this technology starting the first of the year, we'll be able to look at all of our competitor sets. So we'll be able to look at travel plazas in Ohio, travel plazas in California. For the boat race, we'll be able to look at the Key West boat race and see how that compares to what we're doing or any other boat race in the country. And you can look back up to 3 years in data, so not just last year, but we can compare year over year on our own properties, how you know, how the Gary Air Show is competing against the boat race, and, you know, just.
You're bringing a tear to my eye right now.
But yeah, so you can see why we were just so excited to get this technology. But the other problem was it was too expensive for CDPs for a long time. And so we had to do a lot of negotiating and show, hey, there's a whole nother demographic of people you can start doing business with and you come down to the CDP level. Not all of us have the budget of Starbucks and Visit California. And so we've been able to negotiate and work with that. And so we're real excited. And if you hit the next slide.
Robbie, let's go back and let me cover this back slide here. Go back. So just to finish up on Placer, you know, as we look at it and the metrics that Robbie just described that we can get through that platform, it's really going to help us with our strategic initiatives under every one of our pillars. It's going to help us with quality of place by identifying, because it's going to tell us at an event what the mix was between residents and visitors. Well, that's our advocacy and community relations. Well, it's just going to help with so because of our investment in this platform, it's going to help us do a better job under each one of our pillars and give us a better ROI and make better and more informed decisions across every one of our pillars. So it's really a home run. And I want to, Robbie, good job on your research on that, and that we've done a lot of vetting of that. Amy is also, and some of the team members here have researched them over the years. So we put our heads together on this one and really, I think, got a good one.
So, are you going to use this for every event that we run?
We have the potential to. You're going to run into the law of small numbers. If it's a smaller event, the degree of, it's just like polling. It really is. You take a sample and then you extrapolate it. We know polls can be very accurate. This can be very accurate, but when the smaller numbers make it a little bit more noise in the numbers, but we'll try. We're going to learn a lot as we get into it and do these real life deep dives.
I can see us potentially just targeting those specific events where we know there's going to be a greater impact and highlight those first.
Probably.
And then as we kind of fine tune those, kind of then move down into other areas, because we need to really know where we're spending the big dollars. We need to know what's happening around that with the data.
So let me tie in the financial part of this a little bit. It all mixes together. But so when they came back to me with the first number for the cost of this and the third-party stuff that Amy's going to talk about in a minute, but it's the same logic that I'm going to go to here. But I'll stay with the Placer right now. I vetoed it. It was too much. Couldn't afford it. Okay, we just couldn't do it. And I tasked him to go back. I talked to Pat about some ideas that I had, and because of the way this board allows us to do our budgets, we came up with an idea that gave this committee an opportunity to negotiate where they're going to go in and pick and choose what we want to purchase almost to that point, especially on Amy's side of it. So instead of paying $95,000, which we couldn't afford, okay, we're going to be paying much less. You guys are going to approve a budget that lets us pick and choose within a number and use the expertise of staff to understand and save dollars. Okay, we never got to this point if we didn't have a board that understood the value of staff making these decisions. And that's, I want to make sure I said that, so, yeah.
That's great, thanks. Thanks, Robbie. Can we go talk about, then there's the other platform that we've alluded to is AirDNA. And right now we do not have high visibility on a very important visitor revenue and overnight lodging segment, which is the third party, which is our third party rentals. So we needed to really fix that, and that's an emphasis Jack has been on to try to figure that out, and his team. And then Amy has done a great job of researching that. So Amy, you want to talk about AirDNA?
Well, I wanted to mention Placer AI from a hotel team standpoint too. We can also, if we choose, geofence our hotels and gather information from Placer on that front as well. So that'll be very, very helpful for our hotel team. And then again, you all know we've really been missing some data as far as the third-party rentals and how important those are to us. It makes up 40% of our innkeeper stack, so we really highly need some information to help us make, more informed, better marketing and business decisions. Some things that we can do with AirDNA, and to Robin's point, with Placer, one of the leading platforms, and AirDNA is as well. You guys know I go to Destination International conventions, we go to Indiana Tourism Association, and they're all talking AirDNA. So my ears perked up on that a couple of years ago, so I'm really excited, and hopefully we can get this. But a few of the things that we can gather as far as data goes with AirDNA, it'll reveal the third-party rental landscape. We can use interactive maps, market data to analyze current trends and forecast future performance, evaluate competitive performance. We can benchmark third-party rentals against other competitive data sets. We can actually do that with 25 different data sets. So we're going to look at a lot of areas that are similar to ours as far as geographic, along the lake, all the different things. So we're researching that now as far as who we want to compare to. So also support third-party rental hosts, being able, and community leaders by being able to share some of this data with them as well. And then enhance, like I said, marketing efforts and target qualified visitor audiences. So that'll be really helpful there. Furthermore, some other key features we have, as I kind of mentioned, vacation zone mapping, seasonal booking patterns. We can look at that. That would be very helpful. We all know our heavy traffic times, but we'll be looking at that. Year-over-year revenue and occupancy comparisons, total number of rentals and properties, the breakdown of types of property units, and then average length of stay and booking lead times. And these are just a few of the top level things that we can look at. Same with Placer, there's just so many different, I think we're gonna need one person that's looking at this all the time, basically. So it's gonna be a lot, but it's much needed, and we're looking forward to gathering this information, so.
Great job.
And this is just unbelievable. Listen,
I know. I was thinking the same thing.
I mean, this information and this data with these two apparatuses here that collect information to help us make decisions on what to do and what not to do, and for future planning. And I mean, it's just, this is new technology that, or I don't know how new it is, but
It's pretty.
It's new to us.
I mean, it's just, this is just, how come we never had that when we ran the chamber?
They hadn't been in computers yet.
We have rotary phones.
Apple didn't.
Hey, you wasn't that far back now, come on.
But, I mean, congratulations on all you guys for
Yes.
doing this. This is,
I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, this is top notch.
Oh, it
Gave me
is.
chills. We're back to
It really
I'm like,
I know, I'm so
puts us at a
serious.
different level. I mean, it's just amazing.
Yeah,
and this is the information, the reason why I shook my head when you asked,
I know.
is that, this can be, after we get going, this can even be used on what events that aren't making our
Right,
goals
to
and our
avoid,
pillars, that are too small.
Right.
Well, in some cases, it's the difference between a bunch of people sitting around the table and somebody thinks that they have the best idea. Maybe they do, but it's kind of nice to have data to support it.
Exactly. Yeah,
And so
really.
data really does kind of even the playing field.
Congratulations.
If we have good information, we can make great decisions, right?
Yep.
That's the bottom.
Yeah, this is gonna, I think, help us, as Mike was saying, just really clearly define what things we are gonna do, and what things we should not do, maybe in the future, but not right now. I mean, there's all kinds of things that this data is going to be able to tell us. And really, we don't even know yet what it's gonna look like. And we have no idea how much more, we may have to double our staff, because we might find out things that we need to be doing that, hey, this data says we need to be doing this set over here. I mean, it's just, I'm telling you.
Oh my gosh, we are.
Statistics is one of the things that I really highlighted myself on in my career. And this just, I'm telling you, When I said tear my eye, I almost needed the Kleenex.
Well, so one of the bigger things too with that is gonna be like for people like Terry and myself in like sponsorships. or-
That's it, exactly.
This is the kind of information that sponsors look for.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Demographic, like
Exactly.
we had a sample done when I was like 2 years ago, and then when we saw the dollar figure, we kind of ran away from it.
Yeah, it must be there.
But I mean, it will show you it'll show you how many people in that demographic like listen to sports radio. Or,
Yes.
you know, you could go to Dick's Sports and be like, look at this, like 24 to 35, male, blah, 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 listens to sports radio.
Do you remember when we went to Budweiser?
I do.
When you and I went to Budweiser to
Yeah.
try to get,
That was with us.
you know, if we had that data, if we had data like that to explain to them,
Got free beer.
I bet you that could have made a whole
That would've been worth it.
different outcome.
Yeah, we didn't get inside the door.
No, they pretty much got us off.
So again, thanks for Jack for saying, okay, let's do it. He has faith
Oh,
in
yeah.
the team. And then, you know, it is gonna take the expertise and the time commitment of Amy and Robbie anybody can buy these platforms, right? That's at most half the battle. You've gotta put this time into mining it and using it and figuring out how to use these powerful tools.
Right.
And that's almost the bigger investment. And so we know, going in our eyes wide open, that we're making both investments. The one to buy it, and then the staff commitment to utilize it and make it
Good
work.
job, Jack. Other than your decision about Kentucky Wildcats, that's a good stuff.
It makes you wonder about the rest of it.
Okay. Well, I guess we just covered that last slide too, right? Part of the kind
Yeah,
of
the only
thing.
other thing I wanted to add, the reason why we need Placer and Air DNA is because Placer pretty much does everything. The only thing Placer cannot do is identify residential houses, just determine like what's in
And that's a big deal.
and what's
That's
not.
huge.
Yeah.
We can look at pretty much every business, we can look at and get an idea of what their foot traffic is. But the residential level is where it kind of falls apart. So that's where Air DNA comes in and plugs that one hole that we're missing to really make this a well-rounded out package.
Oh, wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
You're gonna make me turn a cartwheel in just about 2 more minutes if you keep that
It
up.
gets better. Wait till you hear the ESPN.
Okay, well, wow, okay, great. Thank you so much for that. What else do we have, Jack? Anything else under?
Not under old business, no.
Okay, under new business, we, every year, you know, we go through our budgeting process, and you had the proposed budget that Jack and staff have put together for our review. And I'll just ask Jack and Gail if they have anything that they want to point out about the budget this year before we go forward.
Well, geez, there's so much we could talk about. I mean, the narrative I set out was pretty well thought out. There was a lot of input in that narrative. We tried to break it down. So anytime there was something significant that changed from last year to this year's budget, we talked about it. So hopefully we were able to express it. I think there was a couple areas I fell a little short in, and it actually was in this topic we just got off of. We were trying to patch that in here. But I'll just say, from my perspective, this is the most, this is going to present the biggest chance for us to move forward in my tenure here, okay? This budget is aggressive as heck. We're spending a lot of money. We're stepping into areas we've never stepped into before, spending a lot of money, bringing in outside help. We're going to reward the staff for doing a good job in this budget. As you know, I proposed a 5% across the board increase and we haven't done that in a long time. And the budget narrative explains all that. I hope that was clear. You know, I just we talk about getting excited, but this is the accumulation of everything in this budget package. And contrary to the remarks that came out in the email yesterday, everything was thought through very strategically. Everything was given full consideration, open consideration. And it's putting everything back on the staff, which is what this board has been so good with over the years. And can you see why I'm excited?
Yeah.
Look what we've already got. Look what we're bringing on, the talent levels that we're gonna have here to be able to move forward with these projects. Now, I'm warning the staff, no more. We're not taking on anything else this year.
Well, the data may tell
That's
us
gonna take care
something
of
different.
it. Seriously, we've got a lot going on there, and in the boat race, and if you look at the budget line item there, we've increased that significantly. And on the first blush, that's right. Scott, maybe you or Terry, especially you might want to say something about how you feel about why that money was added there.
I can say, I had the pleasure and the privilege of going down to Key West for the first time this year, and talked to a lot of teams, and I talked to a lot of racers, and everybody said the same thing. As soon as I introduced myself and I gave them my card and I gave them our schedule for 2025 for race week, not just a few days anymore, race week, Monday through Sunday, everybody's response was the same thing. Oh, we're gonna be there, oh, we're gonna be there, oh, we plan on being there. And it has nothing to do with RWO, our great new partner, and it being a points race. They love coming here, period. And coming off of St. Clair and heading down this way, we want to make it a race week, like I said, and do a Monday through Sunday and have events for the public and the racers that are here for that whole week, and getting that return and having people stay more than a couple of nights. We want them to stay all week long. We want that to sit there and say, you know, this week for vacation, we're going to Michigan City, we're going to check out the race week and look at all the events that they're doing Monday through Sunday. So I think the return and the bump in the budget for the boat race is well worth it. Compared to what I saw in Key West and what we do, we're 1-1A, and I won't get into who's number one, but we all know who's number one.
Oh, yeah.
So, but I mean, they put on a great race, they put on a great week, and comparatively speaking, I mean, there's no apples and oranges. If you go out to our beach right now and you look north and you go down to Key West and you look at their beach, you can't tell a difference. It's the same place. So I think it's well worth the bump in rate. Temperature may be different.
Right now, you're gonna get
But I can honestly say, when we got back from Key West, the warm weather, it left Key West. So I was telling Mike, I think it's warmer here now than what it that week.
Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Thank you, Jack.
Yeah, Terry?
Yeah, to echo Scott, walking around in Key West and talking to the teams, they obviously love coming here. The fact that it will now be a points race just makes it that much better for them. I think our big challenge now is to figure out where we're gonna put all the boats, because we're gonna have a lot of boats here. But I think the thing I noticed most is, and this is not in any way, shape, manner, or form saying anything bad about our previous partners, but to watch how RWO conducts business was very impressive. The way that they run their drivers meeting, the way that the structure that they have, the time, everything that they do is, I believe, is on the highest possible level, which is what we expect. And I think they're going to be a great new partner. Again, we're going to be challenged with figuring out where to put boats, but figure out where to put boats, and I think it's going to be a great event. And I think that the foundations that we've laid, the communication that Scott and myself and Chelsea and everybody who's down there with the teams, new partnerships with Toronto, I think that's going to be huge, because when you have other cities who are willing to work with you to promote your event as well as their event, our relationship with Cocoa Beach, our relationship with Fort Myers, very excited to see Fort Myers back on the schedule for 2025. And talking with Jack and Scott, we're going to do everything we can to help them be successful, because the more successful that these events are at other places, it should be a competition for who's number one. And everybody's trying harder, but at the same time, everybody wants every single event to succeed. And I think that's the heart of offshore powerboat racing. I'm excited for 2025, but I'm even more excited moving into 2026 and 2027 with all of the things that that Chelsea and Jack and Scott have put together with ESPN 1000. It's going to be a great year in 2025, and it's going to be
Yeah. So I just felt we need to spend that time, because it is a big bump that we've asked for there. And similarly, a pretty big bump in the invitational. You guys have already had that discussion, approved that contract, but it was a $50,000 bump maybe that we put in the invitational. Yeah. And obviously the reason for that was we picked up the travel, for the invitational teams. But I just want to try to make sure that you see why those two bumps were significant. So I've covered what I need to say. Gail, before the questions, maybe you might want to round it out.
Well, I'm just gonna go right back to how you started, Jack, and that is your budget narrative tells the tale. It really, from a planning perspective, from a strictly an accounting perspective, we create a budget, it's our plan, our puzzle pieces sometimes change, and you all allow us to change with it. But the very first item that Jack highlighted on the budget narrative, in the pillars, the budget proposal follows the planning roadmap that you all just helped create. Thank you, because that is the proof for the accreditation reporting that I'm responsible to share with our accreditation organization. And if it's not on paper, it didn't happen. So I've got it now. It's easy to meet their requirements because of all the work that's happened before me and you continue daily. The staff's normal MOs, the way that they follow operating standards and the ideas and the level of excitement and energy, we hear it all the time, and it can kind of get, just normalized. But Jack doesn't let that happen. He says it over and over. He thanks the staff, he appreciates the staff input, and it all goes back to the support we get from the board and from our advisory committee and from our partners in the community. That means the world. Our DMAP accreditation, again, is just a testament to the work you've all done in the managing and the planning, and yet you do rely on the expertise of our staff. And again, it's what makes what we do work. And we rise above and stand out as the top spot in the industry. And then just to wrap it up, this document that we need that data that we talked about to move our processes forward. But this document will be in our minutes and in our files as a testament to what the numbers that are on the next piece of paper really represent. So.
I'll just add to what Gail and Jack both have said about this whole process. I think that LaPorte County Tourism Bureau does an outstanding job of following a process that year after year is approved through our auditing process. They review everything in detail. Applegate and Company, they do a very detailed review of what we do to put everything together from an operational standpoint and our finances. So, I'm totally comfortable with what we go through. Then we have different layers that we go through. For instance, our finance committee, which is headed by Becky Greenlaw, and we met and we reviewed the items, the narrative, and discussed this thoroughly. And that's the structure of our organization, is to have the finance committee in place to help do this. And this is how these processes come to place. And I feel very comfortable with that. But Becky, you're in charge of the finance committee. You can give us a report on.
Yeah. Thanks, Pat. So I'll just add that we did have the opportunity to meet the Finance Committee to do a little deeper dive into these proposals, to kind of vet on an individual item level some of these. And I think I speak for the Finance Committee as a whole to say that we fully support these proposals, from supporting the staff and the increase that they deserve, and this initiative, everything that's lined, out in the budget. We had a chance to really ask some questions and do a deeper dive, and are very comfortable around the proposed budget.
I have to agree. The whole process that this organization has gone through, and you guys know I'm a strong believer of accreditation.
Yes.
And that accreditation, and with the audit reviews that we've had, and the accreditation guidelines that you have to go through to get that, and the meetings that we had, and the instructions that Jack provided with why the budget was changed in the narrative, just provided a roadmap for us to go through this budget process, contrary to the email that we received the other day. It's just, it's amazing. And any nonprofit organization that has the opportunity to go through an accreditation process, it's invaluable. I mean, that just verifies everything that you do. I mean, we were lucky enough to have 2 4-stars and a 5-star, credited for the chamber, and that, the accreditation process means so much. It just verifies everything that you do. So, I've talked enough. I want to go to Florida. Let's go.
We're trying to keep Mike in Indiana as long as we can. And just one other thing I'll just say very briefly is it's important that board support staff, and I think the board has to continually be appreciated for what we all do. We're the board. We're not the operation. We have to allow our staff to do the day-to-day operations and their expertise. Now, we are a governing body, so we do overlook and we do set policy and procedure, and that's great. But I think we have an outstanding staff. They've showed it to us year after year in their performance, and we've continually had years of growth. So we're just looking now to go to the next level. And that's what we're asking for today. So if no one has anything else, I'm going to ask.
Well, another thing. Your leadership on the board is, I've had a lot of directors, board of directors in my years with 3 chambers and 3 years in chamber work. But you're okay.
I second that.
Yeah, I know. Well, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that, especially coming from you, because I know your background and your history and what all you've been for the LaPorte County community. So I do appreciate that, and I do appreciate the board supporting my endeavors, because Jack and I have a lot of communications. But with that, I will ask for a motion to approve our budget for 2025.
So moved.
Second. Okay. Everybody decided to. Everybody wants to get to that data stuff, right? Okay, so we have a motion by Becky Greenlaw and a second by Mike Seitz. Any other discussion on our budget? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item on our agenda.
Can't wait.
I know. I'm so excited. I'm going to bring pom-poms next month for everybody in here, I'm telling you. Okay, the next item on our agenda is our ESPN 1000 contract, and this is another piece that also has me just tingling with excitement, because this is going to put us right on the global map.
Yeah, so last is certainly not least, as they say. And Lindsay, we really want to thank you for setting through the process. I know it was a long process to have to set through, but it was pretty I'm sure you got a lot out of it, just like the rest of us. But having said that, several things have come up today with regards to the boat race and tying some of this together. One of our big pieces that we've identified here is the need to expand, once we understand the data, expand our marketing into certain areas. And we're gonna be able to have tools now that's gonna really help zero this in. But we've been able to identify our core strength moving in, according to the board, as sporting events, special events, youth events. So we made the decision early on to get some help in the Chicago market, and we went to the experts. We went to ESPN 1000. There's nobody better in the sporting arena, in the arena that we're looking for here, to expand on room nights at the boat race, to expand on the invitational tournament. And as it's evolving, this whole piece is going to now be talking about LaPorte County as a whole, and Lindsay will explain that. So it's a big piece of this, and everything else we're doing just ties in perfect. So Lindsay is on a holiday week. Fortunately, Lindsay's from LaPorte, and so she's here with the family this week, and she's agreed to put on the presentation live. And I believe we've got some partners maybe you want to introduce, but Lindsay Adams is the general sales manager, and she's met with us a couple times and got us all excited. So, and then we will be, by the way, once Lindsay presents this and the board goes over any questions, we will be asking for a vote on this contract, because of the size of the contract and our structure, that we have to have a vote on this. So I'll turn it over to you and Lindsay.
Well, Lindsay, I'm going to let Lindsay go ahead and.
Thank you, Pat. Thank you, Jack, and thank you, everyone, for your time today. It's really actually rewarding for me personally to have the roots that I have with LaPorte and LaPorte County, and then be able to, in my professional life, come back to this organization and talk about how we can elevate and grow economic dollars, tourism dollars, and all of that good stuff. Jack, you said it perfectly. The 4 biggest letters in sports are those red letters right up there, ESPN, and we are the branch of that here at ESPN Chicago. I just want to give everyone on the board here a little bit of background of the work that we've done for different municipalities, different cities, to help grow their economic dollar, their tourism dollar, even their HR initiatives as it pertains to hiring police officers, for example. So I've got a couple of quick examples, and then we'll go into the contract. Down to the bottom. There we go. So I'm going to let Peggy Kaczynski give you guys a little bit of background on what we've done for the village of Bolingbrook, which is right now the home of the Live Golf Tour.
Do you want the lights down?
Let's see what it looks like.
This is here, across the country. To be associated with ESPN and ESPN 1000, our lineup is part of the fabric of Illinois. All of us on Air Coast, we represent the neighborhoods, the townships, the villages, the suburbs. We grew up here, we live here. We're a part of the experience here. And it has developed very trusted, loyal listeners. They love us, they trust us because of that. So how does our partnership actually elevate Bolingbrook? I'll give you a couple of numbers. 86% of adults in our listening area of ESPN 1000 are sports fans. 86%. Through all of the ESPN platforms, we've reached 90% of those sports fans. 90%. And since we acquired the rights to the Chicago Bears, we're just #1 radio station in Chicago. Thank you very much. Hundreds of thousands of Bears fans. Hundreds of thousands of Bears fans listen to us. Our listeners are more than twice as likely to be business decision makers. Sports just brings us all together. It brings people together. I know that. I played sports. If you played sports, you understand it already. If your son or your daughter, your wife, your brother, your sister, your husband played sports, you know what it's like to sit in the stands. You have a commonality with those people, not just those who are on the bench, right? Sports is a common denominator. It's an icebreaker, but most importantly, Mayor, it is a bond in a community.
I couldn't have said that any better.
I totally agree.
So in terms of what we are proposing with you, and to just give you a little bit of background of the work that we've done in the Midwest region already, we've worked with the Village of Schaumburg. We've developed an enormous program for Choose Greater Peoria, and then a current partner of ours, well, all of these are current partners of ours, but a current partner of ours that actually partners and leverages the power of the White Sox is the city of Countryside.
Where is that exactly?
It's the western gate to, from Chicago, so it's like southwest of Chicago.
Oh, okay.
All of these spec spots, and I'm not gonna play every single one of them, but we, from soup to nuts, help these communities from a creative aspect, from a strategy aspect, whatever the KPIs are for those individual communities, we are working alongside them to drive that impact. And I'll play Choose Greater Peoria just as a quick example to showcase the talent that we have and what we're doing even from a creative perspective.
Okay, so greaterness isn't technically a word, but in Peoria, Illinois, it might as well be. You see, they're all about greater here. Greater jobs, greater work-life balance, greater opportunities to grow your career. That's a whole lot of greaterness. With hundreds of open positions in a variety of fields, from healthcare to manufacturing to education, even the job prospects are greater. Visit ChooseGreaterPeoria.org to elevate your career.
So Greater Peoria employed us, ESPN Chicago, to write, create, produce that spot. They did not have to go outside to an advertising agency. It was all part of the overall campaign investment, and that is what I'm talking about when I say we help communities from soup to nuts. Just to give you a couple of more examples of some of the success stories that we've had recently. I talked about the city of Peoria, the village of Homewood. This was a great success story. They had been trying to fill a couple of 8 positions for their police department of retiring police officers for about 2 years. They were using resources like Indeed, they were going to job fairs, and these vacancies remained. We put an advertising message on the air for the village of Homewood, and we actually used the chief of police and one of the higher up deputies of police to kind of tell the story about the village of Homewood and the benefits of transferring over to Homewood. Within 6 days, they had more applicants for their positions than what they had gotten from any of the other resources. So it definitely works. When you're speaking to the sports community, there's a lot of eyeballs and earballs, as I like to say.
Earballs.
Earballs for sure. Crown Point, great success story in terms of the amateur sports. When I hear things like the Dunes volleyball stuff that you guys are doing, like the Crown Point partnership that we have, also really leaned into amateur high school club league sports, and what we were talking about with them was just simply the facilities and the great facilities that they have in Crown Point. Village of Bolingbrook, we started off with that message. So just want to give the board a little bit of background and some information on how we partner with these communities, what we're able to do as a resource for you, this kind of overviews between framing the message, supporting the events, even creating employee appreciation inside of these communities. The sky's the limit with what we can do. So with that, I'm gonna switch over, and here's ESPN Chicago. This is what we like to call our ecosphere of all of the different assets and levers that we can pull to help drive those KPIs. So from apps to audio to digital, our play-by-play assets, social media of course, and we've got our own events that we do from time to time. We lean into all of these different areas depending on what the needs are. With that, I'm going to flip over to, should I escape? Yep, and then go to PowerPoint. I'm going to flip over to the campaign that we are recommending for LaPorte County. So I know that the LPCBB team has heard this multiple times, but ESPN Chicago is what I like to call platform agnostic. You can listen to us, of course, on ESPN 1000, but all of the messaging and all of the content, including the advertising message, is a complete simulcast. So if you're listening in your car on the HD signal, which is 100.3, you're going to hear the same commercials that you would on AM 1000, that you would if you were streaming on the app. We've got growing audiences in the visual space, from Twitch to YouTube, any of the smart speakers, all of the different platforms that you can consume ESPN 1000 on, you can get that complete simulcast of that messaging. So a lot of companies, most companies actually don't do this. They actually separate their supply from an advertising messaging standpoint, and the streaming messages are different than the over-the-air messages. We've made an intentional decision to make sure that the advertising partners that we have are available to all of the fans, no matter how they're consuming, because we want to be in front of the fan. This is our signal area. So it is the traditional 50,000 watt radio signal area on AM 1000, but as I just covered before, we're really leaning into technology and evolution in media and pushing app listenership. We're pushing YouTube listenership and viewership. Like, we want to be where the fans are. So just to give you a little bit of validation of where our signal covers. And in our discovery meetings, you know, what we had uncovered as objectives were to elevate LaPorte County in the Chicagoland area. Get people in Chicagoland to understand that this is such a gem of a community and there's so many things to do throughout the entire year, not just in the summertime. We want to build awareness and boost ticket sales for the premier LaPorte County events, whether there's tickets or not. I know the boat races are not a ticketed event, but we want to drive that traffic.
They may become.
LaPorte and Michigan City as a viable summer destination. So this is kind of what the marketing timeline looks like. Kicking off, and Brett covered it off already. We already did sort of a drop-in ticket sales marketing campaign for the LaPorte Invitational a few weeks ago, and it sounds like ticket sales year over year are up about 35%, which is amazing to hear. But we're gonna lean back into that once the tournament is in play, starting in December, running through January 10th. Then as we turn the page into spring, the messaging and strategy is going to revolve around planning your summer destination. We're trying to impact a lot of the hotels and Airbnbs before they sell out for the rest of the summer. July and August is all focused around the boat races, of course, and we've got some special messaging and special events that we're going to bring to LaPorte for that. And then in October of 2025, we're going to start that pre-promotion again for the following year's LaPorte Invitational. So this is kind of what the calendar of events look like for the marketing timeline.
So it's just basically sporting events?
Correct. Well, sporting events and the general messaging right here about planning your summer destination.
Well, that's why I was asking. In that area, it's not anything to do with an event. That is just the area.
That's just the area. Vacation rentals. So, LaPorte Invitational, as I mentioned earlier, we had Cap and J Hood, that's these two guys that you see right here on the screen. They're a morning show, very popular morning show. Jonathan Hood actually is the play-by-play announcer for the UIC Flames basketball team, and David Kaplan used to be a college basketball coach. So they've got deep roots with non-pro basketball as it stands, and these two gentlemen have been sort of the spokespeople for the LaPorte Invitational thus far. You can see here what we did back in November is we created this video overlay to help promote those ticket sales, make sure that LaPorteCivicAuditorium.com was very prominent so that consumers and fans could log on and buy tickets. And then as we turn the page into December here, this is what the marketing campaign looks like. It's comprised of recorded voice commercials by Captain J Hood, 60-second live commercials that are live reads, and I think I forwarded to Jack and Brett at least a live read from Carmen and Yurko a couple of weeks ago.
I sent it to the board.
Great,
Yeah, they got it.
wonderful.
Yeah.
The live reads are so instrumental because our talent, they don't necessarily pay attention to the length of time for these commercials, and they will go on a tangent, and that's what you want. You want that organic, conversation happening, and I'm glad that you sent that out to the board, Jack, because that was an excellent air check of one of the live reads. This is an example of a spec spot that we had for the LaPorte Invitational.
The future of basketball begins in LaPorte, Indiana. Just an hour drive from Chicago, the LaPorte Invitational returns Thursday, January 9th through Saturday, January 11th at the historic LaPorte Civic Auditorium. This basketball showcase will feature 11 of the country's best high school programs, including Indiana's La Lumiere, Monteverde, Long Island Lutheran, and more. Come see the next generation of basketball stars with over 27 of ESPN's top-ranked recruits. For tickets, go to LaPorteCivicAuditorium.com.
You can see on the third bullet point as well, we're gonna actually have Captain Jay Hood do a live appearance at the Civic Auditorium. That is gonna be a really fun event where the sky's the limit on that one. I don't know if we want at one of the halftime games to do some sort of half-court, shot or something, but they are gonna be talking about their appearance, coming to LaPorte on January 8th, and then interacting with the fans and the crowd on site. The goal with that was to try and draw people earlier in the tournament, because it sounds like the Friday, Saturday, Sunday tickets are pretty.
Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday, Friday, so the Thursday, this is a Thursday appearance, so we're trying to.
That should be January 9th.
January 9th, okay, we'll make sure that we change that for us. And then, of course, the digital display. So leading into the tournament, you're gonna have a similar display to this. It's gonna be a little bit different. But again, all of those viewers that are on Twitch and YouTube, anywhere where we have the video coverage, it's gonna be ownership for the LaPorte Invitational.
One thing that I've always been impressed with is the history of all the major college coaches that have come to this event to watch the talent. All the major college coaches.
Yeah.
I thought it would be a sort of a neat idea, like for the future, is to have maybe one of your guys interview some of the college coaches that are there, to have them explain why are you coming to LaPorte, Indiana to watch this basketball tournament? Well, naturally, it's going to be because the talent's there, but just to highlight the major college coaches that come to this, that really puts a verification on the event itself.
Absolutely, and while our street team and talent are out here, and we've got the ability to take pictures of those coaches and implement, who's who.
Yeah.
Into, so.
Maybe even Capillari will be here.
Well, to add to that, Cliff Livingston has a minor league basketball league that he is part of, and he has an actual team, and he comes to this event every year. And Cliff is an ex-Bulls player, championship rings and everything, and he's there every year. So grab him.
Yeah, well,
and because he comes there recruiting too.
Yeah, and Captain Jay Hood definitely will. And then you're going to get the halo effect of Captain Jay Hood talking about who they met and who they saw, the next day, which is going to impact those ticket sales for the rest of the weekend. Yeah. So we really feel like this is a good foundational plan for the LaPorte Invitational in particular. Move to the next slide. Then that May 4-week campaign timeframe, again, this is commercial messaging, specifically driving consumers and fans to book their rentals, whether it's the Airbnbs that are available, whether it's the hotels. With these 84 30-second commercials, we can actually copy split those commercials if Blue Chip Casino, for example, wants to be mentioned in a portion of those. The sky is the limit on how we do these things, but we want to make sure that we're having consistent messaging about visiting Michigan City, LaPorte, and LaPorte County throughout that May timeframe.
Okay, so you heard the presentation about our data that we're going to be, and that's going to be important for how you're going to message this. Yes,
100%. Shifting into the summer months, July through August, and focusing in on the boat races. Here's the strategic plan for the boat races. You can see a lot of the tactics that we're employing are very similar, and that's because these formulas work. So we've got a bank of 30-second recorded commercials, a bank of 15-second live commercials, where the talent is going to be reading copy live. They'll be able to, kind of expound upon that. We've got the 60-second live commercials. We've got the big week sponsorship, the week of June 30th. So leading into the boat races, we're going to be talking about the Great Lakes Grand Prix nonstop. John Yurko on the air is a Northwest Indiana native. He talks about Northwest Indiana all the time, so we thought that it would make a lot of sense to have Yurko do a live appearance here in Michigan City at the beginning of the boat races. Again, sort of same tactic as what we're doing with Captain Jay Hood, driving fans and foot traffic earlier in the event timeline to generate that excitement and get people excited about the boat races. And then the 4 weeks of targeted digital display ads, which again, with your Placer AI information, that might help us be informed as to where those digital display ads get dropped in from a zip code perspective, and even what the creative could look like. And all of that, the creative, the zip code targeting, everything we do in-house, there's no extra charge for that. It's part of the marketing campaign. Play a little spec here for you.
Make the plans to visit Michigan City and LaPorte, Indiana this summer. It's the most exciting professional jet ski and offshore boat racing in the country from July 18th to August 3rd. You can enjoy the Michigan City Aqua X Grand Prix, the LaPorte Lake Fest Aqua X Grand Prix, and witness the world's fastest, most powerful offshore boats tearing through the waters of Lake Michigan. The Gas Insurance Great Lakes Grand Prix. To book your trip and more information, go to MichiganCityLaPorte.com.
So again,
The dates up there have to be worked on,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Yeah, I know that
Because-
they've adjusted since we
Yeah, okay.
first presented this
Okay,
concept,
all right.
and they will be corrected.
Jack, another thing is the concept we talked about before. Now you've got these personalities, you've got Cap and Jay Hood. In conversations I had and Scott and I had in Key West, we've got teams that will put them in a race boat and let them actually drive a race boat. So they would actually drive while the throttle man runs the throttle. So we've got
We never got that with that.
to help from
I never got the boat.
That's something that
I never got in the boat.
Well, I think board members ought to be able to have it.
I never got in the boat. I don't want to get
Zerko might, he's crazy enough, he might.
Oh, yeah.
And then rounding out the calendar for 2025, then we're back in the pre-promotion of the LaPorte Invitational for the 2026 date. So again, very similar formula in terms of those spot banks of recorded commercials, live commercials, the video overlay sponsorship, and then the digital display ads that we're going to be programming in. So with all of that, this is how each and every segment of the calendar sort of rounds out from a budget standpoint and what's included for 2025. And I know we've got Stuart and OV joining on Zoom. I just want to make sure, I don't know if they can chime in or not, but I just want to make sure that I've covered everything appropriately for them. Maybe not.
Just to be clear, Lindsay, those numbers fold in the numbers we already spent.
Yes.
So the board has already approved the money about 5 minutes ago. So
Yep.
it's already in the budget, and you guys can look at line item was 69 or whatever line item was. That's got you've already approved that. Then, so the budget numbers change.
Yes,
Yeah. Just make
Yep.
it's less than that. It's whatever we got in the budget, 86 or whatever.
Yep.
86.
86. Right, because that was inclusive of.
We're paying that out of this year.
Yep, exactly.
Great.
Stuart, do you have anything to add? Nope.
Stuart?
Sure.
Stuart's joining remotely. Well, we cannot hear you, Stuart. That's all right. I think I covered off on most everything. If there are any questions, happy to stick around and answer those questions. But again, we're really excited to have the partnership. And, oh, Stuart's calling me. Maybe we can listen to him on speakerphone. Stuart.
Hey, good morning. I could hear you and see you, but apparently my mic and camera are not working on this.
Okay, wonderful. Well, you've got the board here, so was there anything that I missed on reviewing the campaign recommendation?
I just want to bring up.
Hold on, just a moment.
There today, but I look forward to coming down on January 9th. I just want to tie a bow around the narrative that Lindsay brought up about how towns and municipalities and cities across the country have promoted themselves and grown themselves using sports as a platform. You know, Indianapolis is a great example. 50 years ago, it was a dirt town. They've invested in sports, brought the NCAA, Indianapolis is now one of the global destinations for sporting events in the world. Lindsay, you mentioned Crown Point, Indiana uses amateur sports to attract visitation. I just met with the city of Rockford, who has invested in amateur sports, and their entire campaign is come play with us. And I think with LaPorte County having 2 national sporting events, you will be recognized for that, and you'll be able to use sports to promote all the activities that you have going on. You know, to have the major boat race, the national event, and I actually watched an EYBL game last night on TV. You mentioned the coaches that come in. I'm sure Carmelo Anthony will be back with his son this year. You'll garner national attention, and that's, you know, what you can use sports as a platform to promote and grow LaPorte County.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you all. We really appreciate the opportunity, and we're looking forward to this partnership.
And just to clarify, Laura asked a question, a good question. So the budget that you approved on line number 60 included a $92,000, because we weren't sure what this was gonna come in at, so we budgeted a little higher on the budget. You've already approved it, the money's there. It's gonna be a little less than that because of that we're backing out.
The contract.
And then Laura has also approved the contract itself. You might wanna, you've reviewed it, right?
Yeah, I did review it, so if we do adopt it, then go ahead contingent on the change dates.
The dates,
Right?
the dates,
Just be
yes.
certain to
Yes.
articulate that. And the reason that I raised the question, Jack, was because in this document that's going to be attached to the budget, we've got the marketing on line 63. That was my confusion.
Oh, it should be, it should be.
60, isn't it?
Yeah.
63.
Gail must have typed that part in
I
there.
will want to include that.
One through the dates.
Right? Minor.
Everybody knows that.
Way to go, Jack.
No, it's not important. Yeah, because it is part of it, correct. Yeah. Thank you.
Got it. All right. All right, well, if we have any comments from the board in general about ESPN 1000 and our contract with them?
Go for it.
I think with everything else that's been said as far as what we're trying to do with LaPorte County, I think it's kind of clear that, and it being one of our pillars too, that we adopted in our strategic planning session or our retreat that we had, I think it's imperative that this is our next step in accomplishing what we're set out to do. So with that, I'll ask for a motion to approve our contract with the date changes as pointed out by the board. I'll ask for a motion to approve it.
So moved.
Second. We have a motion by Becky Greenlaw and a second by Stacy Benning to approve our ESPN 1000 contract. Any other discussions or questions, concerns? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Well, I just have to tell you, I'm excited. As you can tell, this whole thing just really is speaks volumes for this organization. So I'm looking forward to 2025. I hope you all are. We have no other items on the agenda. I'll ask for any general comments from the board at this time. If not, oh, I'm sorry, Gail, you're not bored. You're not bored.
Meeting date.
I'm gonna address that.
Thank you.
Okay, I was just teasing Gail too. Okay, on the agenda it says our next meeting is December 24th, which we know is Christmas Eve. We already had approved that we're not going to meet in December, and that's why we needed to go ahead and have this budget in place so that January 1st our staff can proceed with doing the things we need to do for 2025. So with that, we're not going to be meeting in December, and so
28th of January.
yeah, the next meeting is January 28th, 2025. Please mark that on your calendar. And in the meantime, feel free to contact staff if you have anything that comes up that you want to share with the organization. I'd say go through Jack first and let him know what your ideas and thoughts are. Jack's always available to to tackle those wonderful things. So with that, have a very, very happy Thanksgiving to you all, and enjoy your holiday season with the people you love and cherish. We've been experiencing some tragedies around the community and with loved ones, so just want to encourage you to enjoy your holiday season with your family and loved ones. Meeting is adjourned.
Lindsay, welcome.